welcome everyone to our Cyber Icon event. Very excited to have you with us today, whether you're joining us virtually or in person. I am Emily Mossburg, and I am Deloitte's Global Cyber Leader. And I also lead our US-based strategic growth offering, which really focuses on our US investments in the cyberspace. I have been in our cyber practice now for 20 years, and I've been our global leader for about the past 4 years. And that's really given me an opportunity to see the dynamics around the cyber space, the market, the trends around the globe over a fairly significant amount of time. If we want to go ahead and push forward, I want to talk a little bit about how we see the cyber market and some of the key trends that we see from a cyber perspective broadly. The first one that I want to hone in on is vendor consolidation. There has been no shortage of discussions that we've had with clients over the course of probably the last 2 years on the fact that the vendor landscape has just gotten so complicated. And many of our clients have 50 plus different solutions in their environments. They're very focused on being able to understand if there's opportunities to consolidate platforms, to move to fewer vendor solutions, and really find ways to integrate platforms. So that's something that we're seeing as a huge trend, really focused on simplification and moving to more information and less technical components to get to that information. The other trend that I would point to is focused on use cases and use case-based outcomes for our clients. Our clients today want to talk not just about the technical components that they want to solve for or their technical architecture. They want to focus in on what are the outcomes that they're trying to achieve for their cyber program, and in many cases, more broadly across their organization. Tying back to the trend related to vendor consolidation, there's really a big pull for more efficiency, more quickness in the way in which we're identifying cyber activities, particularly malicious activities, and being able to move into remediation much more quickly. All of this is underlying all of this, I guess I would say, is the fact that the threat landscape continues to evolve and be challenging. That's really the third major trend that I would highlight. And that complicated threat landscape, again, feeds the fact that organizations are dealing with so much complexity and really wanting to get to more simplification. The threat actors continue to evolve. They now have new tools at their disposal that they're using to drive the threats and to exploit the vulnerabilities in an expanding technical environment. So one of the other trends we're really seeing. The fourth trend that I would highlight is the fact that we continue to see migration to the cloud, and we continue to see more and more hybrid architectures. Many organizations are moving to multi-clouds. That means that not only are they moving through the integration and working through the complexities of bringing together the multiple cloud environments, but then they're also having to work that into and integrate into their legacy environments. So there's a real focus on what the security needs to look like for the organizations, not only in the end state, but as they go through that transformation. And so a lot of time and effort going into how can we make our movement and migration to the cloud more seamless and more secure. The fifth trend that I would highlight is really related to the talent issues that we face in cyber. It's been talked about for years. It continues to be an issue. There are not enough experienced practitioners in the cyberspace. And the threat and the amount of work and effort that's required to be on 24/7 every day of the year, looking for new cyber threats, monitoring one's environments, looking for malicious activity. This is a huge challenge for organizations and, quite frankly, society. We need to find a way to drive more efficiency, more effectiveness, and more simplicity. And that's sort of what underlies all of these trends, is this real need to get to more simplification in the cyberspace, more efficiency, and more outcome-based efforts. A couple of other things that I would highlight as it relates to the cyberspace beyond these five trends are what we've seen in our Future of Cyber survey. And I'll be with you in a little bit to talk more about the results of our Future of Cyber survey. But there were a couple of areas that really jumped out there. One is this whole focus on ongoing digital transformation and more and more focus on artificial intelligence and Gen AI, integration of things like 5G. All of that transformation is really impacting the way in which organizations are thinking about their cyber programs and planning for their cyber programs and strategies. And then last but not least, there's a lot of emerging technology trends broadly in the cyberspace, like things related to data security, more and more at the endpoint, more and more moving to this data layer as it relates to securing and protecting one's organization. And then, more broadly, this concept of mesh architecture, mesh security architecture. And, many organizations are also starting to contemplate things like security in the metaverse and the virtual world. So those types of concepts that are being looked at broadly from a business perspective are really driving into the security strategy at this point. If I push ahead and talk a little bit about Deloitte's role in the ecosystem and with our clients, we really look to be the glue that brings together a number of different components across our environments, across our enterprises, because ultimately, anywhere that we have technology, we have digital transformation, there is a cyber component. And so we are working with our broader Deloitte teams, whether that be through our consulting organization or our broader advisory group. In some cases, even in audit and assurance and tax. We want to make sure that as we're helping clients with their broader set of strategic initiatives, that if there are cyber implications, and often there are because there's technology implications, that we are bringing to them the considerations, the requirements, and the solutions around how to embed cyber appropriately in those new initiatives. We're also focused on making sure that as we do that, we are plugged into the broader ecosystem from a cyber perspective. So that includes things like the broader vendor landscape, and many of the vendors that are our alliance partners. It means a broader marketplace relationships. In some cases, that includes academia and other industry consortiums. And we also work very closely with the analysts from a cyber perspective to make sure that we understand not only the trends that we're seeing and that we're hearing from our clients, but we're validating those with the analysts. We're seeing, are there other things that they're hearing about that we haven't yet heard about? And how do we bring those thoughts and those ideas into our practice? When we work with any organization from a cyber perspective, the industry and sector that they're in is exceptionally important because that has a lot to do with the processes in the organization, in some cases, the technology stack in the organization, the data that the organization has and processes, and then, what does that mean in terms of what the potential risks are? What are the adversaries actually interested in as it relates to that organization? So we want to make sure that in all of this, we're bringing an industry lens. And last but not least, we are focused on working with a very broad set of stakeholders within organizations. Cyber today is not just a technical issue. It's not just a technical capability, as we've been saying for years, but it has true business implications. And so the number of stakeholders that we're talking to, interacting with, understanding their needs is very broad, often including the executive suite within an organization, inclusive of the CIO and the CISO, making sure that we understand the business strategy, the business perspectives, and how is that driving integration of new technologies? How is that driving innovation within an organization? What does that mean in terms of what the cyber perspectives, the cyber requirements might be? And how do we make sure that all of the players within the organization that may have something to do with this are brought to the table? So we're really trying to take a holistic view across the organization and the entire cyber landscape. If we push ahead, let's talk a little bit about our global cyber practice and what we've built over the last 30 years. Our practice really started in more of the risk control space and over time has grown and evolved to provide services across the cyber spectrum. And we really do have a very broad set of services, including things like strategy consulting and governance consulting into things that are more technical, including overarching architecture, and into things like identity and access management, all the way into legal and regulatory areas like privacy and data protection. And we're able to provide advice, we're able to provide projects in these areas, but we're also in many cases operating these specific capabilities for our clients on a 24/7 basis, helping them to be able to really tackle the breadth of work, the breadth of threat tackling that needs to occur across the entirety of their cyber domains. And, we're doing this today for over 2,500 clients globally. And we really, going back to the concept of industries, think through how we help our clients based upon the industry that they're in, making investments and helping build our capabilities and therefore providing value to those clients through industry-specific solutions and assets that have been customized based upon the industries that our clients are in. Another area that has become increasingly important over the last several years is the broader ecosystem and the strategic alliances that we have. And this is a broad set of alliances, including, organizations that are cloud providers moving into big box software vendors, that into cyber specific alliances and capabilities, and making sure that we understand what is part of the cyber capabilities of each of these organizations, how we can integrate capabilities across vendors and across organizations, and how we can help extend and expand an organization's visibility into their cyber program. We do this around the globe, as I mentioned, and we have 3 global cybersecurity centers that provide 24/7 services to our client. allowing our organizations that we serve to really get a broad global breadth of capability and experiences. So what is the iCON event? Let's go ahead and push ahead and talk a little bit about what you're going to experience today. The Cyber iCON event is an opportunity for experts in the cybersecurity space, as well as business executives, to share their experiences in the cyberspace and to talk about the issues that they're having, to share more about some of their lessons learned. All of you will have an opportunity throughout the course of the day to interact with the attendees and the participants from across all of the sessions. And we've really identified a number of key areas that we are going to talk about today. We're going to talk more about the Future of Cyber survey, and I will be with you in just a little bit to talk more about the results and what we've seen in our Future of Cyber survey. We're going to talk about the state of cyber in Spain. What is specific to the Spanish market? And what can we share about the trends that we see here in Spain? We're going to talk about adversary activity as well as threat intelligence and what you can do to action against that threat intelligence. We'll move into from there crisis management and how we can move into resilience from identification of an issue and an incident into resilience. We'll talk about application security. We'll also talk about risks associated with OT and ICS. You know, more and more we are seeing this merge of operational technology and IT, and we're going to focus in a little bit on, you know, what are the risks specific to OT and ICS. We'll talk about supply chain as well as quantum computing. It's something that's been brought up a lot lately. What are the new risks as we advance our capabilities in quantum computing, and what does that mean from a cyber perspective? We'll also talk about women in cyber and the importance of diversity in the cyberspace. And last but not least, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about smart transportation, and we'll give you some insight into digital twins. So this is going to be a very exciting day. So glad to have you with us, and thank you so much for joining us.